evening. I'm Darryl McClish here, and I am here to give you guys some awesome value tonight. Um, One of the things that I want to talk to you guys about tonight is change. Always talking about change because only through change are you going to begin to grow and become a better new you and a new you. So, in doing that, I want to talk about a book that has had tremendous impact on me, my family, my business, my finances, and all forms of aspects all over my life. This book has really been super powerful. And the name of that book is Stephen Covey is the author, and there it is right there, guys. It is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. All right. And you know, I'm always talking to you guys about change. So, why not get to the book that has allowed me to make dramatic changes in my life? So, why don't we just hop over to the whiteboard and we'll go from there. All right, guys, there I am in the corner, holding the book up, just letting you guys know. I take no credit for this training lesson, this session that I'm giving to you guys. But I do realize that most people, most people, when it comes to growth, I'm just gonna move this out the way so you guys can see. Most people, when it comes to growth, um, they tend to cling on to the opinions of their friends and their circle of influence around them, and they do not read books, man. It's amazingly powerful. The fact that I realize the more that I read, the more that I move ahead from so many people around me who have had me beat for years. They were ahead of me, and what did they do? They decided to listen to someone else who gave them opinion about this or opinion about that, something they did not get done. And through doing that, all they did was slow down their own progress when they could have just started doing research, reading books, just not being lazy and beginning to grow through knowledge. Just knowledge. True knowledge is what's going to get you there, guys. I'm so excited to talk about this book. This book is amazing. Great quotes. And starting off this book, I just want to tell you that we are our habits, right? Our habits dictate our life and determine what direction we are going to go in life. So, if that is the case, then why aren't we constantly working on our habits? What are we doing each and every day to send us in a direction that we are going in? If you don't like the life that you have, change it. If you don't like the money that you have, change it. If you don't like the relationship that you have, change it. But realize this, that change is going to come through our habits. As Aristotle said over here, I got it right here in the corner for you guys. We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, and I added therefore, excellence then is not an act, but an habit. So if you guys want to be excellent at what you're doing, if you want to be incredible, if you want to be tremendous at your job, if you want to have a phenomenal business, incredible relationship, great parenting skills and stuff like that, then your habit is going to make you that person. Okay. Now, when we talk about habits, there are three things. Habits are a combination of three things. I'm gonna write those three things out to you right here. Okay, I'm gonna just put a list up and just do it that way. How about that? Habits are a combination of, right, knowledge, your skills, and your desire. Those three things make up your make up a habit, right? So I'm gonna shrink this down and move this out the way. I'll put it right here so you guys can see it and reference it over and over again as I talk about habits, what they are. Okay. Now, as a matter of fact, I am going to expound on that a little bit for you guys, right? And just give you a couple of definitions. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to knowledge, right? What is knowledge? Knowledge is the theoretical part, the what to do and the why, right? So we'll just do right here. So that's your knowledge, right? The what to do and the why. Then you got your skills, right? Skills. So you got skills. And it have to be skill, just skill, right? Skills is the how to do, right? And last you have desire, right? I'm sure you guys know what desire is. Desire is the motivation. It's the you want to do it, right? So those are the three things that make up a habit. Let me fix this here so you guys can kind of see a little bit more. There we go. Right. So those are the three things that make up a habit, right? And I put that right under change your life because guess what? Uh, Habits will change your life. It is important. So when it comes to habits, there are three assets that I really want to talk to you guys about that Stephen Covey got into. That once he got into them, I realized that how important those assets were. So those three assets are the physical asset of a habit, the financial asset of a habit, and the human asset of a habit. So those are three physical of not of a habit of us as human beings. Those are our assets, right? Our physical, financial, and human. Those three things shape and mold our life and create who we are as human beings. It's amazing. It's important. Uh, I'm gonna just move this book to the side so I can continue to have a little bit of room to work here. But the three assets we're going to talk about here today are, move this over here. The three assets are physical, financial, and human. Okay, so those are the three assets. Now, as I get into those assets, let's talk about those assets real quick. These three assets right here, right? Let's first get into the physical. Now, the physical asset is important toward change and important towards growth. And I'll give you an example, right? I brought a BMW, right? A 1998 BMW, excellent condition, 740 IL, right? And and what I didn't do with that BMW was buy it for the right reasons, right? I brought it obviously to show off, to impress people, and when 1, 2, 3 months went by, and the flair of having that brand new car faded, I didn't pay as much attention to the car. I didn't do the proper maintenance on the car, take care of it the way I should have, and I allowed that newness to wear off. You know, and one thing I want you guys to learn, number one, is please do not invest or call it an investment in something that rusts, rots, or depreciates. Buying a brand new BMW when the following year it was worth half the price was definitely a bad idea. So now I didn't maintain that car, right? Didn't take care of it. So the value of that car was half a year later of what I purchased it for. So that is me mistaking the importance of my physical asset when that same money could have been used to invest in myself, in my education, self education, that is, not college, but in my education and in my business, um, in my relationship and experiences, and so on and so forth. Many things that I could have used that money for, but I chose to invest in something that rust rot and depreciates. So that thing lost value. Now, I'll give you another example of me buying a car. In 2006, I bought a Toyota Corolla, right? And I'm still, by the way, it's 2020, and I'm still driving that Toyota Corolla today. The speedometer stopped at 300,000 miles, and I've driven it another 200,000 miles. So I got about 500,000 miles on my Toyota Corolla, and it is still running, getting me back and forth to work. As a matter of fact, I still drive it because what I wanted to show myself was that if you take care of something and you value something, that it will take care of you. Now, that Toyota Corolla is, wow, I don't know, 2006 to 14, 15 years old with 500,000 miles on it. To be taken care of and still driving like that is a testament to you taking care of a physical asset. Now, like I said before, buying that car wasn't an investment. Okay, it was me buying a car to get back and forth to work because I did not take care of the physical asset, my BMW, by the way. So let's get into that. Because I didn't take care of that physical asset, it caused financial problems, right? Because that was financial problems that I couldn't use toward other resources. So not taking care of the physical asset caused caused the misuse of my financial resources. So one determines the next. All right. The last one is let's see, is well, we talked about Toyota Corolla. So the last asset that I want to talk about is the human asset, right? Now, obviously, this is extremely, extremely important, and I need you guys to understand this. See, we're talking about change here. So if we're talking about change, you have to talk about the human asset when it comes to our lives. And an example of this would be, I'll just give my own personal example instead of going with Stephen Covey's. Um, many years ago, I was involved in relationships, uh, whether they were intimate and friendships. Both, it was just who I was as a person and who the people who I attracted were. And those relationships were not were based on more of a what's in it for me, what can I get out of this relationship? It was more concerned about benefits, right? The people who are involved with me were concerned about benefits, and in turn, I guess I returned the same feelings of, okay, if you're going for benefits, this is what we're doing. The problem with that in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, is that you start to devalue the relationship, the importance of the purpose of your relationship, right? I'm talking deep emotional connections that you continually build in the trust that you build in relationships. This happens in so many relationships that I see, and I'm on the outside looking in, and it's a sad state of affairs because you watch people in relationship as they start to um, reach into the relationship and try to pull out of the relationship what they can get for themselves, right? Rather than preserving the relationship, they go for I don't know, whatever, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional. They're taking, they're not giving, I've found that giving value is actually the key to having a great relationship as opposed to taking. And you have to bring that in every relationship that you're doing, whether it's a friendship or whether it's an intimate relationship or whether it's your marriage or even important, whether it's your relationship with your children, right? How important is that? Now, I know in a relationship that I had, when we went through this relationship and we were always taken from each other, we became very insensitive toward each other's needs, right? Insensitive, we were very inconsiderate. We neglected the little kindness, the little niceties that are important in deepening a relationship, right? Just little small things, little nuances that people don't seem to understand when they're in a relationship for selfish reasons, right? Just for the taking. Okay. Once that happened in a relationship, you know, whether it was me or whether it was the other individual, we began to use control levers, right? To one, to influence the other, to get our way, to get what we wanted out of the relationship. And listen, it always, it just always turned out bad. Those relationships, those friendships didn't last. That relationship didn't last because it lost its richness. It lost the softness of a relationship and the spontaneity of the relationship. It just all dissipated. It just went away. And and that is an important key for you guys to understand when it comes to the human aspect of the three assets. Because that human asset cost me financial problems and it it cost physical assets that I could have used uh, to improve and make myself better, okay, to be basically diminished, depreciated, for the whole purpose of me not considering, and the individual that was in a relationship with me, not considering the importance of the human asset in a relationship. Um, Parents, this same thing goes with you if you're a parent, right? I know that we go through our lives, we try to give our children everything, or if not, we try to control our children like robots, and we try to intimidate them because we're bigger and we're louder, and do so because we said it, and we don't give them a true reason. Parents, we got to get out there. We have to have reasons to tell our children to do things, and we have to be able to back those reasons with facts that our children can then internalize, right? Even though they're children, so that they can internalize, they still need to know a why. Because if they don't know a why when they're a child, when they become an adult, they will lack discipline, they will lack responsibility, and they will lack personal commitment just because of the fact that you decided as a parent to be selfish, okay? And I do mean selfish, and to force your child to do things as opposed to encourage them to do things based on your wisdom, right? Your growth, to teach them how to grow and to give them a true why that they can get behind. That is so important. It's a lot of adults around there that's running around without a lot of personal commitment and definitely are irresponsible. And that's why we're in a situation we are right now, because there's so many adults running around with a lack of personal commitment and a lack of responsibility for the human asset of society, right? So we're working on that, though, guys. We're working on that. Um, One thing I wanted you guys to do real quick before I move forward is it's a self awareness exercise that I pictured Stephen Covey doing. And the reason why I want to do this before I go any further, real quick, is because what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to understand you as a human being. Okay, so I'm gonna run through this exercise. So imagine yourself right now, right? You're in this room, you're watching this video right now. Now, imagine yourself in the upper corner of the room, over there somewhere, right? And having sort of an out of body experience. So now you're looking down at yourself. So now you imagine yourself. If you can close your eyes if you want and just listen to the sound of my voice. Imagine yourself, right? You're in the corner, you're having an out of body experience, you're looking down at yourself. Okay. Now you see yourself in your mind's eye. You're watching this video, you're watching yourself watching this video. All right. What is your current mood? right? Can you identify your current mood? Okay. All right, very good. Now, next thing I want you to do is describe your mental state. What is your mental state right now? All right. How is your mind working? How is your mind working? Is it quick and alert? Because you're watching a video? Are you sluggish? Are you not as sharp as you usually are? Are you thinking about the fact that you're not as sharp as you usually are? Okay. Um, what are you torn between right now? Are you torn between doing this exercise because you want to know what the purpose is at the end of it? Or you just listen to my voice and you're trying to follow along and do this exercise? What are you doing? All right. Okay, guys. That is the exercise. I want you to come on back to your body. Check me out here. Open your eyes. And this is who we are as human beings. Animals cannot do this. It is called self awareness. We have the ability to be aware of our circumstances, who we are, where we are, how we're feeling in the moment, and what we need to do. And the reason why I needed to tell you guys this real quick is because in the next 7 days, I'm going to go through all 7 habits. But being self aware is a strong foundation that I need to give you guys in order for you guys to be able to move forward in each of these habits in order to make these habits a part of your life. All right, let me get some water here, guys. Give me a second. All right. So, the first habit in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is being proactive, or be proactive, as he says, right? So, what I want to start with is how we see ourselves. See, a lot of us picture ourselves um, in all different ways, but most of the time we picture ourselves in the wrong way. I want to tell you right now, we are not our moods, right? And we are not our feelings, right? Those two things are not who we are. We are not our moods and we're not our feelings. And that's why we can make or break our habits. So because we're not our moods and because we're not our feelings, we have the ability, the self-awareness, as I just spoke about, to change our habits. We can break them. We have a current habit. We can change that habit. It doesn't have to be the same. You know, I spoke to my children today and in the past and frequently about what Stephen Covey says about the social mirror, right? And I've tried to tell them into a language that they understood, and I'll try to do the same for you guys. Is that a lot of us view ourselves, right, um, from the social mirror, right? The perceptions and the opinions of the people around us, the people around us. And that's how we view ourselves. We're not viewing ourselves and doing a deep self awareness understanding of who we are. We are literally allowing the opinions of others, right, to tell us who we are, right? And just think of that, right? Um, it's not it's not that um they're trying to be cruel toward us or whatever. It is their perception is only a reflection, right, of how they view themselves through us, right? And we are always doing this. We are always seeing someone and trying to determine who they are based on who we are. And so a lot of times people make statements that are not true, right? Like here you go. I used to hear people say this all the time. You are never on time, right? People use words like never. Or why can't you keep things in order, right? Some type of permanency, right? You eat like a horse, right? This is so simple. Why can't you understand it? All right. These projections are rather than reflections, okay, rather than reflections of who you are, right? They're projecting the concerns and character weaknesses of the people giving the input instead of reflecting accurately what or who you are. Now, did you hear that? I'm gonna repeat that one more time because that is so important to you guys. I know it was very, very important to my children to understand is these words that these couple of statements that I made, and there's so many more statements. People always using "you're never" and "you're always," and all of those statements that people make. Do not allow those to affect you, guys. All right, and I'm gonna teach you how to get through that. But these are projections rather than reflections, projecting the concerns of and character and weaknesses of people giving the input instead of reflecting accurately what you are and who you are. Okay, you cannot allow people outside of you to control your life, period. You can't do it. Okay, and I'll get into that in a minute. So important. You have two choices in life, right? You can act or be acted upon. You have to take initiative, right? Now, our basic nature is to act, right? And not be acted upon. That's our basic nature, right? Um, what we have to do is we have to recognize our responsibility to make things happen. And here's the deal: if you wait to be acted upon, you will be acted upon. That's just what it is. If you sit around and wait for someone to take advantage of you, someone will take advantage of you. Okay, guys, we have to grow through this. Now, I want to talk to you guys something about your language. What is going on in your head right now? What is happening? Right? There are two type of languages, right? There's a reactive and a proactive. So I'm gonna just write those two words down for you so you guys will see it for yourselves. Okay, there's two type of languages. Let's bring this over here. There's reactive and proactive. Those are two type of languages, guys, that are going on in your head all of the time. All the time, right? Okay. And some of the reactive and proactive languages, I'm gonna just read them to you instead of writing them down. Um, there's nothing reactive language. There's nothing I can do. Let's how about a proactive alternative to that? As a matter of fact, even better, guys, I'm gonna give you a list because I found that giving you guys a list is so much better than just writing these things down for you guys. Let's bring this list over here. That's my reactive and proactive list. How about that? Okay, here's my reactive list. Let's talk about some reactive things here. One of the reactive things is there's nothing I can do. How many times have you heard that? Right? That's just the way I am. That's another one. I've heard that so often. How about another one, guys? He makes me so mad. Another one? They won't allow that. I like that. Um, I can't, I must, I only. Those are three different ones, but I'm gonna just put them all there. I can't, I must, I only. Wow. Those are some strong reactive terms, right, guys? You see them. They're very strong reactive terms. See, I can move this list and make it a little smaller here. All right, let's give you guys another list. How about an alternative to this list, to a proactive list? What do you guys think would be good responses to all of those negative reactive comments, right? If there's nothing I can do, how about let's look at our alternatives. Let's look at our alternatives. How about that's just the way I am? How about this? I can choose a different approach. How about instead of he makes me so mad, I control my own feelings? How about that? I control my own feelings. How powerful is that, right? To be in charge and to be in control of your own feelings. And I'm gonna just finish out the last three with I choose, I prefer, and I will. How about that? Those are power words right there, guys. Those are power words that get you going, that gets everything moving. It gets everything moving. Those power words right there. I'm gonna just put this smaller and put it right next to the other one, guys. There we go. And look at that. Isn't that second list so much more powerful than the first one? Hmm? Listen, it is the deal, all right? Now, when we talk about reactive and proactive, right? Um, it's all about your circle of concern, guys. It is your circle of concern. In the reactive, your circle of concern is so huge, it's so big, right? That it basically overlaps and it's negative energy. It reduces your circle of influence, believe it or not. I mean, if I can give you guys, maybe I draw you guys two circles real quick and show you the difference. All right, I'll do that real quick. I'll draw you guys two circles, show you the difference between reactive and proactive. Because when it comes to this, guys, oh, some ugly circles. Look at that. There we go. See that? I learned how to do that. Making circles. And then I'll copy it, do another circle. And I'll make this circle smaller and I'll put it in here to show you guys the difference. Okay? All right. Now, inside of there, this is during negative, right? This is your reactive. Now, during your reactive focus, your circle of influence is dominated by, right? It's dominated by your circle of concern. Now, out here is your circle of concern, and in here is your circle of influence. Let's see, I put the two words there so you guys can understand totally what I'm talking about here and not lose it. You got your circle of concern here, which is big and is dominating. And inside here, right? So that's your circle of concern out here. And inside is the things you can control. So a lot of times we spend most of our time uh, contemplating and worrying about things we can't control. Now, you guys already know what you can't control, right? What's going on right now? The coronavirus. We can't control that. What we can control is staying home, right? But a lot of people, they don't concern themselves with that part. They're concerning themselves with the constant bother of the circle of concern, what the masses are doing, what everybody's doing outside of it, what the entire world is going on, everything that's going on out there. And this will cause you, okay, to have a lot of negative responses. And what you want to do, what's important, guys, is that you increase your circle of influence. Your circle of influence is your power. And as you increase your power base, right, your circle of influence, and that circle gets bigger, your circle of concern has less power, and it allows you to be proactive, okay, and start to look for alternatives and choose different approaches and control your own feelings. All right. That is the difference between reactive and proactive, guys. And it is super, super powerful, and it makes a world of a difference in your life. Okay. Let me stop a little bit. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, guys, well, not really, almost the last thing. We're almost done. We're here. We're almost done here today. Um, we talked about your language, right? And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about, again, I'm probably not going to get into, or maybe I will, the stimulus part today. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll get into it. I don't want to leave you guys out of this whole deal here, this full chapter immersion of the Stephen Covey Habits of Highly Effective People. All right. The most important thing, guys, is what? You want to have freedom of choice, right? So let's put that in there, right? Freedom to choose. Okay. So how do you guys have freedom to choose? Let's put that in there. Freedom to choose. Now, freedom to choose comes from obviously two things. In order to have your freedom to choose, you got to have what? An outside stimulus. Something has to be happening. Something is going on. What is going on right now, guys? Right now, I guess everybody's thinking about the coronavirus, the COVID-19, right? So that let's make that our stimulus. So that is your stimulus, guys. And that is a big stimulus, huh? Right? So that is your stimulus. That is what's going on and in the world right now. The coronavirus is the stimulus, right? What is your response, right? That is where your power starts to come in. Your response. Your response to stay at home order or whatever is going on right now is has to do with some responsibilities, right? We talked about a couple of things we talked about already. We talked about what? We talked about self-awareness. All right. We talked about self-awareness. Self-awareness is important, guys. Self-awareness is what differentiates us from animals. We're not animals, right? So you got to have some sense of self-awareness. It's very important. Let's put that right there, self-awareness, right? The next thing you need to have, guys, is imagination. It is what it is. We're going to get into imagination maybe later on. But imagination is the elixir. It is what promotes creativity. You know, when I was reading my book, Think and Grow Rich, the chapter on imagination was probably one of the most powerful things that we as human beings could use, our imagination. I talked about it in previous times, is to have an imagination and to continue to work that imagination muscle to continue to grow and get better. All right. Obviously, you got to have a conscience. And I say obviously, but I know that in this day and age, obvious is not obvious anymore. A sense of consciousness, who you are, right? And uh, and last but not least, independent will. You have to act. You have to be proactive. You have to act independently, right? All right. So those things are powerful, guys. Independent will is the last part. Now, all of those things are important, right? And as we go, each and every one of them has to do with your freedom of choice, your self awareness, your imagination, your conscience, and your independent will, right? Those all together will determine your response in order for you to have a better life, in order for you to have a good life. Okay, so in wrapping this up, and that is called the proactive model, by the way, by Stephen Covey. I did not create that. Okay, great minds created these great things that we can use as tools to have a better life. But three things that I love giving you guys at the end. That's why I always have my circles up here. Okay, and in order for you guys to develop this habit, the habit of being proactive. And those three things, I'm going to give it to you guys right here, right now. The first thing is listen to the language, right? Remember, I told you about the reactive and proactive language. So listen to the language that's going on in your head, that's going on in your mind constantly, right? What are you saying to yourself? Are you being reactive or being proactive? Are you saying negative stuff to yourself? Or are you giving yourself positive reinforcements? You have to listen to your language. Always pay attention. I want you to do this for about 30 days, guys, to constantly make it a point of listening to what are you saying, the voices in your head. Pay attention to that language. The next important thing is review a certain situation, right? Based on your circle of influence, right? So I'm going to tell you, review a situation. Maybe a future situation is going to come up in your life. All right. But base it on your circle of influence, what you can control and what you cannot control. So I'm just writing it short, but I'm explaining it fully to you guys because I want you guys to go into depth on this. If you guys want to see exactly what I'm talking about, you can look at the review notes at the end of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People on chapter 1. So you can check that out. But what you want to do is you want to review your situation, future situation based on your circle of influence, and you want to exercise your freedom to choose. So I'm going to add that to this right here. All right, so you want to exercise your freedom to choose. And the reason why I added that here is because, right, it is very, very important that you work on your muscle, your mental muscle to exercise your freedom to choose. I spelled that wrong. Let's fix it here. So you want to work on that muscle. The last thing, guys, in order to wrap this up is I want you to select a problem, right, that is currently frustrating you. All right, so select the problem that's currently frustrating you guys. And we're going to put all of this into action here. And select the problem that's currently frustrating you. And from that problem, solve it through your circle of influence, right? Solve that problem through your circle of influence. Remember, guys, what you can control, okay, and then everything outside of your control. And remember, use your languages, right? Use your languages. Um, be proactive, not reactive, okay? And choose, have your freedom to choose, meaning the outside environment is going to happen, but your response to that, base it on the 4 things that I talked about. Base it on your self awareness, base it on your imagination, base it on your conscience, and base it on your independent will. And stop allowing people's social mirror, okay, to reflect how they feel upon you. And I will end this with a quote from Henry David Thoreau. And he says, I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscience, right? I believe that you guys can make this change. And in the next 7 days, I'm going to help you guys through this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm going to break down each habit. And from there, man, hopefully you guys can grow and learn the way I have as I continue to learn. Okay. And you guys have a great night. All right. I will talk to you later. Bye bye.